How do you train your brain and your hands to think and react faster behind the wheel? You see, if your brain takes longer to process what's happening, you'll miss braking points, blow apexes, and lose tenths every single lap. This can be really frustrating, especially when you're trying to race others, but you just don't have the mental bandwidth to stay focused on everything. The exercises that I'm going to share with you in this video have not only helped me reach the top 2% of iRacers worldwide, but it's also helped thousands of my students transform their ability to drive and think faster while maintaining consistency. The first one we'll address is, Jimmy, how do I drive faster? And I've got 3 thoughts on this. The first thing is you've got to improve the mechanics. You've got to improve your hardware. You've got to improve your ability to drive faster, which means that you need to be able to learn precision with your inputs, specifically your pedals. And I have the perfect exercise for this called pedal pressure points. And pedal pressure points are beautiful because they help build the muscle memory in your legs, and as you improve this muscle memory, you'll be able to drive faster because you'll start to develop strong neural pathways. You'll start to learn the efficient movements you need to make with your legs to be able to quickly and precisely get the exact level of pedal application that you need. And the way you perform pedal pressure points is extremely simple. Anyone can do it, but being able to consistently execute it perfectly will take some time. So what you want to do is first decide whether you want to train your braking or accelerating precision, okay? You'll need to train both, so it doesn't matter too much, but I'd recommend starting with braking. First, bring up some software where you can see what percentage you've pressed your pedals to. A lot of sims have this built in. Great. So what you want to do is pick a random brake percentage, let's say 34%. Then in one decisive movement from 0% pressure, your goal will be to accurately press down on the brake pedal and exactly hit that percentage. And don't start off super fast. When you first do it, it's better to be slow and accurate, but make sure to only do it in one motion, no staggering or feathering. Then, once you're confident you can hit your percentage, try increasing the speed of brake application and get faster and faster and faster. And again, when you're training yourself to do this, it's not just about quickly slamming the brakes with no precision. The pedal pressure points drill is built in a way where it kind of trips you up, right? If you try to press the pedal too fast before you have that good muscle control, you'll just overshoot your target every time, which while you're sim racing will translate into locked brakes and slower laps. And again, what that does is it enhances your pedal precision while you're building the ability to apply the pedal more consistently at high speeds. And what does this mean? It means that you now can drive faster with more consistency because your inputs are so dialed in. In racing, there's no such thing as a golden bullet that will fix everything. It's 1,000 silver BBs that combined will make you fast. And you'll notice this in some people, maybe it's yourself, but when you get into a race setting, adrenaline is pumping and their ability to set fast lap times completely disappears. This used to happen to me all the time. When hot lapping by myself, I could set great times, but as soon as I hopped into a race, my nerves got to me and I was locking up on corners or under braking and going off track. And it was simply because I hadn't trained my pedal precision points for long enough. I hadn't built a strong enough muscle memory foundation. So as soon as my scenario changed and there was more pressure, I reverted back to old habits. Now, the second thing I would recommend is a really fun drill that I teach alongside a lot of other stuff in my course, Sim Racing University, and it's used by professional athletes all the time to increase their hand-eye coordination. So grab 2 tennis balls or any balls in general, and there are 4 variations of this drill I want you to go through. Each time it gets harder as you progress, so only move on to the next stage when you've nailed the previous one. And the reason improving your hand-eye coordination is so important is because in racing, everything comes down to your signal to noise ratio. Signal is the quality of your inputs, the steering, brake, and throttle commands you intend to send to the car. Noise is everything that interferes. Lack of muscle memory, hesitation, fatigue. Output is what the car actually does on track, which is always a mix of both. The higher your signal to noise ratio, the more of your intention makes it cleanly into the car's behavior. How many times have you known what to do while driving? You knew you needed to hit the apex, yet when you got to the corner, you missed it. When your coordination is poor, the noise drowns out the signal. The car feels unpredictable, messy, and inconsistent, but when you sharpen your hand-eye coordination and your ability to think under pressure, the noise fades, and suddenly, the car feels like an extension of you. Okay, so back to the drill. 4 different levels. Level 1, have a ball in each hand, palms facing down, drop the ball, and catch it. And you repeat that. Relatively simple. Level 2 is the same starting point, but you catch it with your arms crossed over. Now it's starting to get a bit trickier. Level 3 is you start with your hands crossed and you catch it with your hands straight. And then level 4, the hardest of them all, is you constantly swap as you continue reps back and forth, back and forth. And this process of working through the levels without dropping the balls is how you can intentionally practice your hand-eye coordination. And if you want to be able to measure your progress, just record how long you can perform a level 4 without dropping a ball. I'd set 3 minutes straight as a minimum before progressing to the next level. And if you find yourself struggling, I'm still unable to get past level 3, for example, there's actually a way to adjust the difficulty of each level that I forgot to mention before. If you want the easiest variation, hold your hands as high as you can. This will give you more time to catch the balls before they drop to the floor. So as mini progressions, you can do level 3.1, level 3.2, level 3.3, and so on, right? So start with that. That's the second activity I want you to try. Now the third thing is vision control. The most common problem is when you have poor vision control, the key area that people suffer in that causes them to drive slower, it's that they're looking too close to the front of their car when they drive. So if I'm looking right at the nose of the car, it forces me to slow down because I'm not prepared for anything that's coming ahead. And if I try to drive fast with bad vision, everything just feels overwhelming, like it's happening at 1,000,000 miles per minute, and it becomes impossible to drive well. When you're looking too close to the front of the car, you're doing this. And what we need to do is this. Shout out if you got the Ford vs Ferrari reference, goated movie. You need to control exactly where your eyes are looking. And at first, this feels extremely counterintuitive, but you need to lock your eyes on the furthest part of the track that you can see ahead. And here's the cool thing that happens. It feels like everything slows down. It stops feeling so chaotic. You actually have time to react if there's a crash ahead. One of the things you should practice if you want to get really, really good at vision control is to make it your only focus when practicing. So set up a practice session and your only goal should be to keep your eyes glued to the road ahead. So an example in a corner would be to focus on the apex when you're approaching the braking zone. When you start braking, keep looking at the apex. As you start to turn in, look towards the corner exit and keep your vision focused on that point until the corner is complete. Sure, when you're completing the corner, you can glance down quickly to make sure you hit the apex, but your vision should always be locked as far ahead as possible. And the reason for this, it's extremely simple. You can change what's happening ahead. If you're looking at something that's a meter in front of you, it doesn't matter what you do. You've committed to that line and the car is going to go there. But if you're looking 100 meters in advance, there's time to make those changes. And I can guarantee this is something you probably never even thought was a variable that you need to consider when racing, but it'll undoubtedly make an insane difference in your performance once you get used to it. And here's the fun part. You won't be able to unsee it now. Every time you drive, you'll feel yourself slipping back into old habits of looking at the front of the car, and it's in those moments that it's so important to metaphorically whip yourself back into the distance. And as you do this more and more, looking into the distance will just become second nature, and it will allow you to drive so much faster and consistently. I hope you're enjoying the video so far, and I just want to say that if you're watching the video up until this point, it seems as if you've developed a little bit of an itch and you may want to take your driving skills to the next level. If you do, I run Sim Racing University, where you can join myself and other students and learn in a structured way. Check out the link in the description below to join. Anyway, back to the video. Moving to the second part of the question, and it's how can I think more quickly? Now, this is a loaded one too, because there are so many different ways in which you can think more quickly, but I'll give you my top 3 thoughts. The first overall thought that I want to share with you is to seek to understand, not just memorize. For a lot of you while racing, you're going, sometimes it takes me too long to figure out how to perform a corner with a different line under pressure. Then all of a sudden, instead of fighting your opponent, you've dropped down 3 places. And this is a question people often ask me. How can I think quicker under pressure? And it's typically people who are still fairly new to racing. Maybe they've just jumped into iRacing, or they're climbing out of rookies into more serious series, and they're still getting their head around how cars actually behave. When you fully understand something, you're not having to go, wait, what was the answer for this again? You don't have to go into that part of your brain where it's a memory retrieval. If you want to become quicker at reacting and making smart decisions under pressure, you need a deeper understanding of the fundamentals of car control and racecraft. Because if you understand how weight transfer affects the car, why trail braking works, which line to optimize exit speed, you'll be able to adapt on the fly, because everything will just make sense to you. You won't be trying to recall facts and figures. The correct answer will just intuitively arrive to you in the moment, because it'll now appear as the only logical option, because you understand why the car behaves the way it does. So again, just really download as much information as you can and get a really good understanding and depth. Then once you've got that, the second thing you need to learn are frameworks, and the DPE scale is one of my favorites. Most racers judge their lap the wrong way. They think if the lap time was fast, it was a good decision. If the lap was slow or messy, it was a bad one. But that is fundamentally flawed thinking. That's like saying, I went flat through a blind corner and didn't crash, so it must have been the right move. Just because it worked doesn't mean it was smart. And just because it didn't work doesn't mean that it was dumb. I'll give you an example, because this happens to drivers all the time. Scenario 1, you brake way too late into a tight corner, miss the apex by a mile, but somehow you catch a magical slide and hold the lap together. Was it good driving? No, that was a bad decision with good performance. You got away with it this time, but keep doing it and you'll eventually bin the car. Scenario 2. You brake at the right marker, trail it in smoothly, but clip the inside curb a little too hard and unsettle the car. Your lap time suffers as a result. Was it a bad decision? No, it was the right call, just poor execution. And this is exactly where the DPE scale comes in. It gives you a simple way to separate the 3 things that matter: what you decided, how well you did it, and what the stopwatch says. So instead of your brain going crazy, was it my braking, was it my line, was it my tires, you just grade yourself with the DPE scale. For example, that late braking save, that's a 5. Bad decision, good performance. That messy curb hit, that's a 7. Good decision, bad performance. A corner you nail perfectly, that's a 9. And if it's a terrible choice executed terribly, then that's a 3. There are no 10s, because even the best move isn't guaranteed by conditions or the rest of the lap. Now, I'm able to judge any lap instantly with clarity, and it's simple. And if I want to go deeper, I just reflect. If it was a 3 or a 5, how could the decision be smarter? If it was a 7, what technique was it that went wrong? And if it was a 9, then repeat it as much as possible. The DPE scale stops you from confusing luck with skill, and it gives you a clear lens to actually improve, not just chase lap times. And then the final thing I would say that's going to help you think faster in the car is to reduce your levels of anxiety and stress. Because when you're tense behind the wheel, it slows down your processing speed, your vision narrows, your hands get shaky, and you start making reactive moves instead of deliberate ones. And if you know you're about to jump into a high pressure race, a quali session, or even just a new track that makes you nervous, then making sure to prepare your state first is critical. And part of that prep work is breathing. And I know every time I say this, racers look at me and they say, breathing, come on now. But think about it. You're literally alive because of breathing, so you know it's important. In fact, top athletes across sports have entire workshops and training camps dedicated purely to breath work. And the first thing I want you to be aware of is diaphragmatic breathing. If you don't know how to take a diaphragmatic breath, I highly encourage you to look it up. There's countless videos on YouTube that teach you belly breathing a lot better than I could. Instead of shallow chest breaths, you take deep, calm inhales into your belly. That anchors your body and your mind. So if you know you're going into a stressful session, here's what you do. Practice box breathing. And box breathing is the same technique used by Navy SEALs before combat missions. And yes, I know sim racing isn't anywhere near as intense, but I use this technique almost daily just for simple things I get stressed about, and it works beautifully in racing as well. So here's how you do it. Fully exhale all the air, then inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, and hold again for 4 counts. That's one cycle. Do 3 to 5 of those cycles sitting in your rig before you grid up or whenever you're feeling anxious in general. It'll drop your heart rate, open your vision, and clear your mind so you can process information faster and react with calm precision instead of panic. Click this video here to learn the 6 racing habits I wish I knew sooner to drive faster. And if you're ready and want to learn in a more structured way, then join my sim racing university. Link is in the description.